A federal judge has granted Harvard a temporary restraining order after that Ivy League school sued to stop the Trump administration's ban on enrolling foreign students. So this is going hour by hour now. It's changing. An expedited hearing now is also set for Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. in Boston federal court. So right after the holiday, the Memorial Day holiday. President Trump's ban was just issued yesterday. And he did this in response to what the DHS calls the Ivy League's pro-terrorist conduct in response to campus protests.
This next clip is going to show you some court documents. So there's the paperwork that was filed by Harvard against the Department of Homeland Security. And then, of course, there was the paperwork issued by the court that said, okay, we're going to put a temporary restraining order against the Department of Homeland Security, basically saying that, okay, no, you can't stop Harvard from enrolling foreign students, nor can you kick current foreign students attending Harvard out of Harvard, telling them to transfer somewhere else. So here are the actual court documents. As you probably recall, it was just yesterday when the Department of Homeland Security said that Harvard could no longer allow foreign students to enroll at Harvard, and also said that foreign students currently going to school at Harvard had to transfer. Well, on the 23rd, as in the next day, Harvard filed suit against Homeland Security, saying, amongst other things, for 7 years, we've had foreign students at the university, and we plan on continuing to do so. Revocation of that is a blatant violation of First Amendment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They actually went on and on and on for 72 pages. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but basically the next day, Harvard filed suit against the Department of Homeland Security. Also on the 23rd, the district court in Massachusetts took up the case, and they actually filed a TRO, or a temporary restraining order, against the Department of Homeland Security, the federal government, in support of Harvard, that was actually granted today in response to the 22nd decision by DHS to prohibit foreign students from attending Harvard. So that was ordered on the 23rd, the next day. Now, what we're hearing is the court in Massachusetts is going to hear this case on Tuesday. So the government said no foreign students on the 22nd. Harvard filed suit on the 23rd. The court in Massachusetts entered a TRO, temporary restraining order, against the government in support of Harvard, also on the 23rd. And then this coming Tuesday, the case is going to be heard in federal court in Massachusetts. There you have with the details. And as we can see, this is actually moving along very quickly. So on Thursday, you had the Department of Homeland Security tell Harvard, okay, stop with the foreign students. Stop. Friday, you had Harvard countersue and file their paperwork. Also, that same day on Friday, you had the court in Massachusetts step in and issue a temporary restraining order against the government. And now the hearing itself is going to take place on Tuesday. I'm sure it would be Monday, but we have the holiday. So the actual court proceeding where the sparks will fly is going to take place on Tuesday. Let me know down in the comments what you think about all this. There have been issues with protests, and I'm putting it lightly, on these Ivy League campuses, not the least of which is Harvard. And part of the concern is that these protests, and I'll just say specifically against Jewish people, can incite people to violence. And we just recently saw that happen. A Jewish couple was just murdered for no other reason than the fact that they were Jewish. So what the government is saying, and I think what a lot of people in the country are feeling and or saying, is that these Ivy League schools have a problem. There's a problem. And the question is how to fix that problem, because the problem are these protests. The universities say they have free speech. Well, there are limits to free speech. There are certain things you can't say without there being consequences. And without going into detail, I think we all understand that. And what the administration is saying is these universities have gone too far in allowing really unacceptable speech to occur that can incite violence and it definitely has done that. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about the link between these protests and violence against people, and specifically, unfortunately, in the case I just mentioned, against Jewish people. There definitely seems to be a connection. And then let me know in the comments what you think the proper solution is. And just as a sidebar comment, why is Harvard educating over 25% of its student body made up of foreigners? I don't understand that. Why aren't we focusing more on educating American students? If Harvard has a fixed number of students they want to study there each year, and they give over 25% to foreigners, that restricts how many American students can be educated at Harvard. I'm not a huge fan of Harvard. I'm just saying, what are we doing educating so many people that get degrees, go back to their home country, and end up competing with us? It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense when I look at it from that perspective. Let me know what you think about that as well down in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Want to see more like this, subscribe. And as always, until next time, God bless. Love you all.